Hello, piano friends. This is Piano Q&A with Nancy Allred. We are going to continue our discussion today on teaching piano technique. Specifically, today's topic is how I teach five-finger patterns. So I've taught piano for 35 years, and in my early years of teaching, I taught a lot of beginners. And one of the things I did early on, I learned it in my years of school as a piano major, was the five-finger pattern, and I loved that as a basis for helping students understand keys and chords, major and minor, and the list goes on. And it was a great way for me to help students form technique and help them perfect their hand position and the wrist motion and things like that. So very early on in piano lessons for a beginner, I will teach the student the five-finger pattern, which is this, and I will have some files that I will show along with what we are doing, and then you'll be able to follow along. So here is a five-finger pattern. Which is 5 notes going up and down, and I start with C, and after they learn that, we then move through the patterns one at a time, and I take them through the circle of fifths. So then once they know C, we move to G. And so on and so forth. Then we go to D, which has the sharp in the middle, and I take them through, and when you go through the circle of fifths, of course, there are 12 patterns. I teach these by rote, and at some point I will show them what it looks like on the page. I think that's also very beneficial for them to see the notes, see the notation, and then see what rhythm we're using. Once a student can play all the patterns through the fifths, and they are easy, and that's my barometer. I'm asked that question all the time. How do you know when you move them to the next thing? It's when it's easy. If they're still struggling, then it's not easy, obviously, and I will spend more time with that. The question I'm also asked is, what if they can't play their hands together? And not everybody can. Then we do hands alone. So I teach them the pattern, right hand, left hand, immediately put together. If they're very young or they don't have much experience on the keyboard, then I will do all of that hands alone, going through all of the fifths, and then we match where I would like them to be with hands together. And this is parallel motion, which is up and down together. Once they can do all of that, then I start having them play the patterns 3 times in a row. And again, take this through the circle of fifths 3 times in a row. At some point, then I will start turning on the metronome, and this is the goal, that they are able to play these, and because of metronome goals and working through that, we can achieve a lot of dexterity and get to a pretty quick tempo. I love using five-finger patterns to help them learn and feel quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. And the ultimate goal, or one benchmark in five-finger patterns, is to play them with a metronome at 120, play quarter notes, and then go to eighth notes 2 times, and then 16th notes 3 times, like this. Now, that's the ultimate goal. How do I get there from where I've been, where they can play each pattern 3 times in a row through all the keys, but we haven't done a metronome yet. So the first thing I do is I will try them about at 60 and see if they can do the 16th notes. It depends on where they are in their learning literature. If they're a brand new beginner, they probably can't do this. But so this would sound like this. Can they do 16th notes? And it's just a try. I test them. It's interesting. Sometimes I think a student can't do that. They can't fill 4 in a beat, and actually I test them, and then they actually can. So if they can, then we take this quarter, eighth, 16th sequence for patterns. I start them at 60, and then they play all of that, and then we take it through all the keys. Now what here we go. Here's the slow. And then they go to G position and do the same, and then D, and then A. That can be a little bit of a lengthy part of their practice. So what I do is give them probably 4 positions in a week. They do it at 60, and then they basically pass it off to me. And then the next week we'll do the next 4, keeping going through the circle, and then we move on to the last 4, which would be A flat, E flat, B flat, and F positions. Anytime I feel like they're ready to move up on that metronome, we do. I also have an agreement with my students that they are free to move their metronome faster as long as it's easy and it's perfecto. It doesn't help anybody to move up the metronome and have it fall apart. So students love doing it, and I love when they surprise me. If I assign them to do it at 80, they come back and say, I got it to 92. Wow. So we celebrate that and keep moving on. So there's that sequence, and the goal again is to get that pattern with the quarters, the eighths, and the 16ths up to 120, and then we will move on to the next level. In the next segment that I do, I will present how to do these in contrary motion, and another segment I will present what to do if they cannot play with the metronome and stay with the metronome. Thank you.